Her lips which whisper like reeds on the wind, wet with moisture sprung from a well deep within, whispers like the petals of an iris, the reedy blossom which weathers and is not trodden down for long. Fell Burgundy Iris, or Moses Cleaveland's Canterbury Tales, up Book 7, line 1951. Actually, 1956. Upon a stone a rune of light, the nescient Paul put up no fight, but in the light to die, the raven faded. Catania drew her sword again, her dagger always its best friend, what fornications frolicked, ne'er to know. For in the night adultered blades, who knew, would thus they misbehave, such secrets ere to keep and thus forgo. For in the scabbard and the sheath, such secrets thou wouldst not bequeath, in stowage would such blades thus frolic light. For what in stowage would transpire, in stowage stowed, indeed required. No, indeed they frolicked with some might. Her hilts in hand and yet to sing, with knowledge thus her blades did ring. What frolics pass but practice ere to be, what passed between adultered blades but indiscretions, souls to save, for prying eyes to wonder, not to see. The rightness of her hilts to feel, within her hands a pact to seal, familiar balance ere to come to grip. Her nipples hard and nostrils flared, crossed my line, O raven dared, her edges singing, ringing, hilt to tip. Oblong and 100 paces wide, but space to be evasive, and longer by a score, or maybe more. And in the distance could be heard neither jargon nor a spoken word, but wavelets breaking on a distant shore. Hypnotic and but mesmerizing, lulling, rolled, and arising, a mote of quiet moment to be savored. But for the raven ere to call, but silence broken and to fall, moment's peace by raven to be wavered. Brightness cast upon the stone, which hove midair where it was thrown, glass houses not for want nor to be seen. The splendor of the raven's down, iridescent, it on the ground, a growing fire within its eyes to gleam. A fire gleaming within its eyes, as from its wings but fire to prize, to dodge but tongues of flame, a searing sting. Her eyes thus shielded from the blast, the searing heat, how long to last? Behind his shield, within his mail of rings, was Mithrax curled up like a ball. Upon his shield the blast did fall, his helm and leather greaves to spare his skin. Avocado or eggplant be? Derrick the Brown, for not to see, a fruit or vegetable, but where he'd been. Steaming fruit for want of wonder, but Derrick there and nigh to blunder, but green and 5 feet tall, with girth of 3, but width of 3 and girth of 9, the math decried within her mind, unsettled mind from what was there to see. But worse to come there be for sure, in certain deep, but to inure, but heads to butt, the raven so inclined. Behooved with horns begat Feline, brother Gangor as well demeaned, with furry tails which wagged from their behinds. A satyr's form ne'er to forgo, what new direction for to know, with goat-like mouths with which to only bleat. And bleat they did with mouths anew, with much to say but naught came through, with horns and hooves their satyr forms replete. What wisdom wrought to be mistaken, by satyr form they both were taken, by panic thus their vacant minds were took. But worse to come, a shock to see, more shocking though for thus to be, for wisdom thus their reeling minds to look. But worse to come and yet to see, from silence from their mouths to be, but silence from their mouths to be. In frightful wonder gaze they upon their forms. What fate released they from their debts, with mindless gratitude to vet, but fawns to frolic, their wool ne'er to be shorn. The underworld in darkness lay, no dawn to come, but time to play, from conflict delivered by the dragon's hand. Ne'er to wonder, there to be, ere to blunder, there to see, but fate to ride forever, ne'er to stand. But worse to come, Catania knew, nipped in the bud, and thus to bloom, but reeling fawn's demeanor all but craven. What Haven sought was not to be their whirling minds, but for to seek, in stumbling drunken stupor, before the raven. The raven called again once more, as it took flight before the shore. It cornered but for now, so it would seem. It spiraled to the chamber's heights, counterclockwise, quite a sight. But worse to come, her instincts for to deem. But worse to come, her vision true, for as it moved away it grew, as down she gazed to check upon her feet, to double check and ascertain, but if her form indeed had changed, her whirling mind, her thoughts, ere for to bleat. "'Twas not to be, she still had feet, a palate cleft was yet to see, but in her mind yet thoughts and words to form, nigh horns and hooves or furry rump, nor lost restraint to take a dump, but she is yet to be a fawn reborn. But reassured she gazed anew, the raven thus indeed had grew, its feathered form no longer there to see, but feathers lost for darkened scales, on membrane wings indeed it sailed, he came about and spiraled two-faced she. But Erelex the unsurpassed, his raven form had come to pass, for who upon the sand beset on her? The dragon's hand not to be seen, but dragon now, for to demean. The dragon's den, what comer to endure." I'll stop right there. Yeah, I wanted to say something about the, one of the models for some of the data breaches goes back to the DoD compromise. I'd have to say this occurred at least at 1980 or earlier, but basically it involved the names of DoD employees being leaked, and unfriendly intel playing leverage against the children. And I went to a school with a lot of people back in the 80s who were subjected to this, and a lot of them went bad. So there's a lot going on with here, but it's one of the places where unfriendly intel and their little contest of urination figures in, with basically, there was Warsaw Pact back then, and they were all near to be outdone, with China pretty much picking up the ball on that, at least in regards to Chinese intel. It's something to pay attention to. One of the girls that I knew who, her dad worked for the DoD, and she went really bad. She used to run rave parties and deal out in places like San Francisco, so there's no doubt that she's known to the VP and stuff like that, but like I said, it is a model of a compromise, and I know the VP was on the Senate Intelligence Committee. So, it's just one of those things to bear in mind when dealing with data breaches, because, for all of the unscrupulous activity, there's models there that, pre-exist the current cyber data breaches. So, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what to expect. And like I said, it's still nothing new. It can be tragic. That I can't deny. It hurts when you care about people and you see them, pushed in the wrong direction. But I better stop here. Happy Monday, and I hope everybody has a good day. And thank you for listening.